In many developed countries like the USA and the UK, our national economies are fairly well developed, and so economic growth is painfully slow at 2% per year if we're lucky. And in an economic environment which combines slow economic growth, sky-high asset prices, and record low interest rates, more so now than ever before, companies who have the financial backing and internationally recognized brands are desperately looking toward developing economies to keep up and grow their investment returns to keep shareholders happy. And Charles Hoskinson has announced that it is now Cardano's focus to become the cryptocurrency and financial system which facilitates low-cost and reliable transactions on a local scale, which will make the entry of these companies into such economies and markets a realistic possibility. Before we get any further, if you're not yet subscribed to our channel, then be sure to do so, as by becoming a subscriber, not only do you get access to our new daily content, but you're also entered into our monthly crypto giveaways. And so one thing to bear in mind is that Charles Hoskinson has explicitly said that Cardano will be targeting Fortune 500 companies, and he used the terms aggressively pursuing, meaning that we can likely expect this strategy will be a key part of Cardano's business model from here on. And as mentioned before, many of these larger companies are located in developed markets where the average economic growth is 2 or maybe 3% per year, but rarely any higher. In addition to this, these developed markets tend to be saturated relative to the economies of less economically developed countries, meaning that the opportunity for investment in developing nations has never been of a higher priority to large companies. Remember that I said that in the UK and the USA, and probably in other developed nations as well, a 3% rate of economic growth would be considered extremely good. Well, the thing is, in parts of Africa, Bangladesh, India, Myanmar formerly known as Burma, Uzbekistan, Papua New Guinea, and a number of other countries, economic growth is forecast over the next decade to be 6, 7, and in some cases even 8 or more % per year. Meaning that with economic growth rates of more than double that of the developed countries, there is definitely demand for Fortune 500 companies and other businesses to enter these markets. But why is it that Cardano will be able to become a market leader in acting as a financial bridge for these companies entering into developing markets, particularly in Africa? Well, in Hoskinson's own words, you call them up and you say, hey, would you like to access the 100 million people or so using my platform? And of course, what could be a better incentive to partner with Cardano for a company than access to a large number of customers in a developing market through which they get a foothold and develop an advantage on the competitors? Cardano's strategy is built around focusing on countries within the African market, which makes sense as many of the world's fastest growing national economies are located in Africa. But if Cardano are successful here, then I see no reason as to why they wouldn't expand into Asia, South America, and other areas with a number of developing economies, which probably would be the next logical step. And actually, people in countries with developing economies, especially young people, already favor cryptocurrency as opposed to the national government-issued currencies in many cases. As unfortunately, while many of these countries have rapid economic growth, many also have weak and corrupt governments with fractured financial systems, which mean that inflation is often high and unpredictable, in many cases wiping out people's savings as a result of corruption leading to hyperinflation. As was the case in Venezuela, whose national economy has shrunk by 3/4 over the last decade due to government-induced hyperinflation. So there is definitely a demand from many of the local people and businesses in developing countries for a platform and currency which is stable and non-inflationary, and which allows them to do business with or buy the products of companies from developed nations. So in addition to there being clear incentive for demand for a platform like Cardano from local people and businesses, there is also a strong demand to access those markets from companies here in the UK and the USA and probably other developed markets as well. Again, we have a classic situation of demand on both sides of the river, but no reliable way of connecting the two. Cardano aimed to bring a low-cost and reliable platform and currency which will act as a bridge for the people and businesses on both sides of the equation. Now, if Cardano can position themselves as the primary market-leading platform for connecting large Fortune 500 companies and other businesses and consumers in developing markets, the potential for growth and increase in the value of Cardano and ADA are quite literally beyond what probably anybody has considered for Cardano in my view. This news is a real game changer, and it adds a whole new form of value to Cardano, and a one which is probably as big as all of the others combined, if not greater. As a business analyst, I come across businesses all of the time which are hungry for yield and looking for growth. Now, I strongly believe that if many of these businesses had a low-cost and reliable way of accessing consumers in developing economies, many would jump at the chance, and again this is just my personal view and what I've experienced and come across researching a large number of businesses. And by the way, there is a lot more to be said about this strategic move pursuing Fortune 500 companies for Cardano, and so be sure to subscribe for those videos which will be coming out shortly. Thanks for watching.